Bonjour à tous. Hello everybody. I'm Alexandre. I'm the Consul General of France and I'm very honored today to launch the France and Hong Kong Digital Design Day at PolyU. Many thanks to all the teams of the School of Design and of the Global Engagement Office of PolyU, as well to the Hong Kong Design Center. Why design and why now? Design is evolving very, very quickly with new technologies, AI, 3D printings. And is it an art or is it a technology, a science? I think we have to go back to what design is for. It's for the people and it's to help us to improve our relation with nature. France and Hong Kong have a long tradition of design and we have similar views. To keep our pioneering spirit, the key is education. That's why I'm so glad to see today, joining the debate, so many excellent schools. Thank you, l'École de Design Nantes-Atlantique, Cité du Design Saint-Étienne, 3IS, the Sustainable School of Design, and École des Gobelins. Thank you. All of them will be very happy to welcome you if you come to France, as welcoming foreign students is a priority for us. And if you do not speak French, do not worry. We have more than 1,600 programs taught in English. So let's discuss now the power of design. À bientôt.
Hello everyone. On behalf of the School of Design, Hong Kong Polytechnic University, I'm very pleased to have this wonderful opportunity of forum. Digital media, digital transformation has been our focal area where the School of Design work a lot about our education and research. For digital transformation, we need to work together, collaboratively. This is a wonderful opportunity to get to know each other, share the knowledge, share the experience. I would like to express my sincere thanks to French Consulate for providing this wonderful opportunity. I hope all the participants enjoy the rest of the forum together to have a very fruitful takeaway. Thank you, everybody.
Bonjour. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the France and Digital Design Day at the PolyU. I am Professor Stephen Jia Wang, Professor in Design Intelligence and User Experience Design. I will be your moderator today. So, thank you, Professor Lee and Mr. Giorgini, brilliant speech. We can see various challenges we are facing in the society, and design could contribute much more than we have done so far. So first, let's go through the keynote talks. Let's welcome Mr. Grant Lescott, who is the academic director of the Sustainable Design School from France.
Okay. Obviously, it's a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I'd like to start, obviously, just by thanking everyone for the opportunity to discuss a little bit our work at the SDS, and to perhaps share some interesting conversations as the day unfolds. I have a background in both academia and the professional environment, and for a long time my research has been interested in the ontology of design and the impact of design thinking programs on organizational behavior. And I try to go as far as I can beyond traditional design methods or traditional ways of working, to try to understand the people I meet, try and understand the students that we're obviously trying to develop. And I'm currently working, as was said in the introduction, as the academic director at the Sustainable Design School in Nice, also as a professor of design and innovation at Schema Business School, which is also in the south of France. As part-time, when time allows, I get the odd project as a consultant in design, strategic design management, user experience, design research, and the like. So to begin with, obviously I'm kicking off today, and we're going to have lots of discussions about social innovation, about new technologies, about the digital workspace. And I thought maybe it'd be a good idea just to start off with a quick definition of social innovation. It's the process of developing and deploying effective solutions to challenging and often systemic social and environmental issues in support of social progress. Obviously something that is very complex, something that could be considered a wicked problem, and it's these problems that, sorry, is that a little bit better? It's these problems that design excels in the most in terms of being able to navigate levels of complexity. So what about design? And obviously this is the big philosophical question that everybody has at some point about the definitions of design and what actually is design. And you know, we've been trying to codify design for many years with some success. Everybody has their own preference for a certain methodology, a certain way of work, a posture, design attitude, if you like, and certain applied methods. And this is one of the original ideal models that started to push for a more formal structure of human-centered design. The HCD model started with desirability before we bring in technology in the form of feasibility or viability in the form of business. A traditional model in the form of the double diamond, and this comes from the UK. Obviously, although I live and work in France, I'm actually from the UK, and the Design Council in the UK is a great resource. It's actually the governmental advisor for design issues in the UK. I'm sure we're all aware of the work done at Hassano-Plattner, the Institute of Design at Stanford. Again, trying to create a more fluid process of how we go about design. Janine Ledker has also done quite a bit of work about visualization, about convergent and divergent thinking. And for people who've had first-hand experience of the somewhat chaotic feel of design research, Damien Newman's model always brings a smile. The uncertainty, the research, looking for patterns, and trying to develop insights that get us through to the concept, to the point of clarity and focus about what we're going to achieve. So, you know, in amongst all these different processes and ways of looking about how we go about design, you know, we're all very aware of the post-it notes on the wall. We're all aware of methods of mapping. You know, this is an example of a fairly detailed journey map that was done by some students, and it's to do with tracking hikers in the mountains, and we're trying to break down the extreme human understanding. That is to say, what are people, what are hikers in the hills facing? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? We're trying to extrapolate from hard data to understanding about internal emotions and internal human needs. And we can actually add in quite a lot of these design methods within the process. This is something I was playing around with regarding the double diamond to try and guide students and guide people a little bit better about how you run through a design and a design thinking methodology, starting with primary research, secondary research, data clustering, insights, to try and get through to an opportunity area. But as was stated in the introduction, we do know that design is obviously concerned with people. It's definitely got some groundings in anthropology, sociology, and a lot of tools that are used in research come from the ethnographic fields about how we can interpret information. So one of the things that, again, trying to play around with this idea of definitions and understanding, could we state that design is actually understanding and addressing human needs? And by that, I mean understanding through research to understand humans and their perceptions on the left-hand side. And addressing the human need is the development of a creative response that will actually bring something forward that people didn't actually know they needed, but the designers can actually do a lot of interpretation to get us to the point of production and something that is innovative. And so one of the things that's really important, and I guess in many ways this is what this talk is about, although it's probably not yet clear, when we look at the information gathered, when we look at what is visual in terms of design thinking processes and design research, we see images like this. And what is important to understand is that this is just data. It's just information that is collected. And the magic of design is what takes place in the discussions, in the mental gymnastics that practitioners and researchers can undertake to get meaning from data. And this, I feel, is key with one of the fundamental aspects of design intelligence, if you like, or the way that designers approach projects. Getting from data to meaning is absolutely essential. Data by itself, it's the work that we do is not mathematics. It doesn't have strict rules that give equations that give results that you know are right. It's about leaping from observations and leaping from understandings to give meaning. And this is actually a crucial thing that a lot of designers, a lot of very well trained designers manage to understand. It goes beyond more traditional domains of aesthetics and ergonomics and products and the like. And so I would actually propose that the essence of this is sense making and storytelling. And it's about how designers can actually use their mental skills, their emotional intelligence to interpret and make sense of seemingly unconnected data, and then to produce a story. Humans are we're storytelling animals. It's how we make sense of our worlds as individuals, but then designers can actually refine this to go further, not only to make sense of their own world, but also to make sense of the world of the people that we're researching and we're studying as part of the design projects. And so this brings me to a project that we've recently have underway to do with social innovation and smart cities. And there's quite a lot of cities around the world that are very keen to develop technological solutions in the form of smart cities, and obviously the Internet of Things, and the technology and the networks are becoming powerful enough and fast enough to actually allow us to connect lots and lots of nodes that give us information. And so the city of Nice is actually, we're doing this in partnership with a few schools. It's a little workshop that we're doing. But I was really quite taken by the conversations that were put forward about what a smart city is and about what the opportunities are for technology. And the people in charge of this project actually, in many ways, set off with a list of these are the sensors. This is what we can actually capture in terms of data. This is what we can measure. What we could do for a smart city is, in essence, allow people to access this data. And I was very shocked and in many ways quite disappointed by the limits that were clearly in place regarding, well, we can record levels of sunshine. Let's just show levels of sunshine. Wind speed, we can show wind speed. Is there a storm possibility? All the things to do with the meteorological data. Air quality is another one. Ozone levels, pollution levels, traffic movements, and the like. And it seemed very dry and very little creativity, very little design. And that is really what is of the essence. The essence is what we can actually interpret from this data. And that again is sense making and storytelling. And for me, I feel this is a fundamental skill that designers develop. I think they develop it in some ways passively, but we can actively educate to get to the levels of interpretation. And it also has fairly large impacts on the nature of algorithms and artificial intelligence. It's a similar thing because in essence, algorithms are data sets, and computers can number crunch amazing data sets at speed. But do they get to the point of producing meaning? Is it possible that we can actually program algorithms in a way that do that interpretation? And I strongly believe that that's what designers, where designers can actually come to the fore with the new technologies that are coming on stream. And this is really, in many ways, my conclusion. We're obviously going to have some conversations about designer's intelligence, something that I have also done a fair bit of research with regard to the ontology of a designer, and a strong belief that emotional intelligence is one of these drivers. Also design sensibilities, the design sensibilities being the artistic aspects of a design practitioner. And so we are allowed to flip between fairly rigorous analysis to the imagination and the poetry and the creativity that comes through from design sensibilities. And that is the end of this presentation. I thank you very much for your attention, and I hope we can have some interesting exchanges and discussions.
And today we're also very pleased to have Dr. Edmund Lee with us. Dr. Edmund Lee is the Executive Director of the Hong Kong Design Center from Hong Kong. So next, let's welcome Edmund to give us a keynote speak. Thank you, Edmund.
Thank you, Stephen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is really a great opportunity, my great pleasure to participate in this forum and share with you our experience as we promote good design and social innovation in Hong Kong. We talk a lot about design, but even more, good design. Design is more than aesthetics, functions, and efficiency, which remain as core attributes for design. But when we talk about enduring design, we need to embrace aspirations, creative leadership, the sense of clarity, and even the empathy that people can feel for the work and for the projects and for the outputs of designers. Design has grown significantly in the reach and influence across sectors, in policymaking, across economies, industrial, cultural sectors, and is very important these days for societal development. When we promote our public mission, we had opportunity to nurture many designers. Some of them are part of our own incubation programs, like Studio Davinci, who actually designed the bathroom facilities to cater for the people in needs. And also, we have young designers, working with these privileged groups of the people in the society and help, to come up with new branding, new packaging, design. And of course, when we celebrate good design, we come across many projects which touch on sustainability, which touch on, the designer's good intent, to create adaptable garments, that can really, serve the needs of the people who may not have, the privilege, to buy luxury, goods. And then we also worked on projects, as a consultant of consultants, on projects with the government, and such as, redesigning the post office and the Commonwealth Street Park. And recently, the project about, redesigning the public toilet services and the Dongou Ancient Trail, which I will briefly talk about. Now, when we work on project like this is a great opportunity, to embrace design thinking, creative problem solving, but importantly, to really engage the community into our project. Now, we talk a lot about the double diamond methodologies, and the previous speakers also, cover that. And I think it's very important that we breathe the language and we actually use it, as we, try to draw the insights, the deep insights, from the users. So in this project, we have created many opportunities that, we can talk with different stakeholder groups, and we develop the personas, and then, we work on them and try, to eventually work out some design development directions for the project. And of course, right now we've been working on a project as a consultant to the government to redesign the public toilet services. Now, this is a very meaningful project, but it's also a very complex and interesting one, to tackle. And of course, within the government, we are working with RGSD and FEHD, but there are other, government departments and stakeholders that we need to work with. Now, the pandemic doesn't make life easy for us, because when we practice, this the first diamond of the methodology, we need, to have many stakeholder engagement sessions, roundtables and meetings, and we have, to carry on the process, even online, digital, and that doesn't come forward as a very easy and straightforward process. But still, we've been doing best, to try to work on that and draw the insights, from all the participants in the process. And then we create opportunities that, we can have symposium, forums that we can really get, the expert views, from the stakeholder communities. Now, the project hasn't finished yet. I think it's in the mid stage. And so we'll continue, to carry on the process, and we'll update you in the future. To us, creative placemaking is also a very important part of what we do at Design Center. And many of you would have experienced it. This is Wan Chai project, when you as a commuter visited, the Wan Chai MTR station. When you looked at project like this, is the output of the BODW city program. And then we have the opportunity, to work with, to co-initiate the project with MTR. And then we work with UK artists, local artists, and in particular the Hong Kong Ballet. And so we actually recreate, the blend, spaces within the MTR station into something that can cheer people as you walk along all the spaces and the paths. And that actually underpin a lot of cultural heritage, a lot of traits, a lot of the life of the people living in Wan Chai, and it actually opens up, everyone's horizon, and also for tourists, and it attracts, the tourists, to better understand, the Wan Chai area as well. Now, we are working on a project eventually will lead to a new Sam Shui Po design and fashion base. This is a very interesting project. It's a very ambitious one. And we want to support the nurturing of creative talents, and at the same time, to turn that into a design and fashion landmark in a pretty old, district. And then we want to continue to cultivate design sensibility and the creative thinking to the community. Importantly, inject the creative vibe to Sam Shui Po. Reborn Sam Shui Po, and not just rebuild it. And of course, with so much history, so much legacy, and we will be, working with the diverse stakeholders through programs that we hope, to connect the space, the people, and also, to expose them, to the modernity and sometimes, more innovative elements, and blend the old and the new elements as we work on, this very interesting project. Now, social innovation to us is about delivering meaningful, people-centered innovations based on creative problem solving, empathy building, and endearing experiences. we always talk about that this is not the means nor the goals. Do good, do well are the fundamental things. End of the day, the people can feel for that being meaningful, sustainable, collaborative, inclusive, ethical, impactful, and profitable. Now, profitability is not something that we should shy off. In fact, we do need, to have a sustainable business model to ensure that, we have these continuous efforts, to do good and do well. At the end, Design Center is about promoting, the creative leadership. It's about finding clarity, particularly these days amid uncertainty and complexity. It's about building muscles of empathy, building rapport, and also, to unleash creativity and to continue, to expose big ideas. But very importantly, we need the business of, the rigor of business, the transformation. And in context and to leverage the resources which sometimes do not belong to you. So it's a time to practice collaborative synergy, to maximize impact, and importantly, to deliver the KPI, including the keep people inspired elements, and it's not just the numbers. We try not to talk much about the design thinking, because once people get that into mindset, it's about practicing them. In fact, at Design Center, we work with the real project champions. In this case, when we redesign the future public toilet services, we work with government stakeholders and we work with a lot of the users of the toilets. And in so being, we try to really utter the good design language, and at the end of the day, we hope that we can come up with some design directions and solutions amenable and meaningful for people. Thank you very much, and we frame the design as a design movement for livability, city vibe, and for the bright future. Thank you.
So our next speaker will be Mr. Christian Gullering, who is the Executive Director from the Eco Design Natis Atlantic, France.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. So, okay, I'm sorry. So good morning to all, good afternoon, and thank you for the invitation. And okay, I'm going to try to focus on another aspect of social innovation and social innovation within the companies. Let's begin with, of course it doesn't work. Yeah, let's begin with this sentence of Elsbeth Gerner. Elsbeth Gerner is the former Minister of Culture in Denmark, and she said the 19th and the 20th centuries forced companies to ask two questions: what is technologically possible and what is profitable? The companies of the 21st century will focus on what makes sense. And I really do feel that the new responsibilities of design and designer within companies will to make sense. I mean, the era of the technology, the era of the engineers, the era of what is profitable of businessmen is not over, but it has to evolve. And the purpose of the companies more and more will be focused on what makes sense. And if they want to produce and sell some products and services tomorrow, they will have to make sense. And social innovation and will be really at the top strategy of the companies. And I do feel that the design and designers will occupy tomorrow will occupy the top strategic position, because design has become strategic, innovation has become strategic, and that means that we, within the education role we have in our university, the purpose will have to prepare our students to occupy those strategic positions. Innovation has become strategic, and social innovation within companies has become strategic. That means that designers will occupy probably those strategic positions. And it's not enough the case at the moment. We are living in a context of uncertainty, and this is why probably we need some people in companies to draw the future, to try to imagine, to draw the future, to make it real, to make objective what's going to happen in the years to come. Moral has been replaced by ethics, ecological consciousness. There is a huge, as you know, emergence of an ecological consciousness. That means that we won't be able to produce and sell products as we did before. We need to save resources. I am from a generation when I've been educated by the fact that I had to protect the planet. Now the purpose is not to protect the planet anymore. The purpose is to save the planet. And this is totally different. So we have to be very active. And this is the responsibility of designer. We have to be very active in saving resources. That means we are going to consume totally differently. And probably we pass from an era of consumption to an era of contribution. The purpose won't be to consume, but the purpose will be to share. It's totally different. So digital technology for new users, and it has been said already, but the purpose of security and will be on the top. We are invaded by data. The problem is what we're going to do by data with all those data, and the problem of security and trust will be on the table. And it's a major social issue, really. And last thing I want to evoke rapidly is about the importance of robots and artificial intelligence. We are in all our School of Design, we are dealing with robots and artificial intelligence. And the thing is, and this is maybe the major issue in terms of social innovation, the question is, what does that mean to be human? What does that mean to be human if the robots and augmented by artificial intelligence are more intelligent than we are? This is a real problem. And I'm not kidding when I say that. I do feel it's a real issue. Suppose you lose your legs and your legs are replaced by 2 bionic legs. And those 2 legs permits you to run faster than Usain Bolt. Are you still human? This is a question. Are you still human? We are dealing, and this is my example, we are dealing with a company in Nantes called Silke. Silke makes some avatar. So you enter in a cabin, you are photographed 350 times, and 5 minutes after you have your own avatar in your pocket. Very easy. That means what? That means that probably tomorrow you won't go to the store to buy your shirts. You will send your avatar to buy your shirts. But suppose that you ask your avatar to buy some shirts on a virtual platform, and you ask your avatar to buy 3 white shirts. And your avatar, because your avatar is intelligent and he knows exactly how many shirts you have and what the color of your shirts in your dressing room. So your avatar will decide that okay, he's going to buy 1 white, 1 black, and 1 blue, because he can't be totally aware that you have too many white shirts in your dressing room. So that means what? That means your avatar will take the power on you. And really this question, what does that mean to be human if your avatar is capable to do such a thing? And this is really a matter for the designer. And this is really a matter of social innovation. What we want for us dealing with robots. just to end this short presentation about social innovation, I want to remind you the sentence of Emmanuel Levinas, who is a philosopher, French and Lithuanian philosopher. And he said, morals make us feel sorry for those who are hungry. Ethics oblige us to feed them. And we have this responsibility. We have the responsibility to act and to choose the world in which we want to live in. Thank you very much.
So our next speaker, we have Dr. Jino Yu, who is the Director of Digital Entertainment and Game Development, and who is also Associate Professor from School of Design, the Hong Kong Polytechnic University from Hong Kong. Jino?
Hi, glad to be here for France and the Hong Kong Digital Design Day. Great to hear a lot about the local projects from Edmund and a lot of the colleagues from France in terms of their perspectives of how kind of design can influence business and the impacts of design on kind of this future of saving the planet versus kind of being the steward. I'm going to take a little bit of a step back and really look at digital technology and maybe look at the exciting opportunities today with the advancements of technology, while also looking at the role of digital technology and specifically digital media and its influences. I'm just going to skip this slide. My background's actually in electrical engineering. I've been in digital entertainment for about 30 years. And so when we look at digital media and digital technology, arguably, digital technology today, if you look at it, it's really driven by kind of consumer applications. And we run this Masters in Multimedia and Entertainment Technology here in Hong Kong, understanding that it is kind of these multimedia and entertainment applications that drive digital innovation. That's why people upgrade their phones, and then that's why there's all of this acceleration in terms of 5G networks, etc. Now, if we look at today, digital media today is actually kind of a digital version of mass media. And so if you look at movies and television, the fact that it's all digital now, it's kind of a digital version of mass media. And mass media is basically kind of an industrialized form of traditional media, which is basically in traditional media is arguably a way of being able to, again, mass disseminate art. And if you look at art and you trace art all the way back to its origins, oh, I'm kind of pointing the wrong way with the slides. No, I'm pointing the right way. If you, let me see. No, it's this way. No, it's this way. So if you trace it all the way back to its origins, it's really helping people understand, who are you and why are you here? And if you think of the shamans around the campfire, or if you look at the caves in Lascaux, which is, I think, in France, and if you look at Stonehenge, early architecture, all of this was developed, the mythology, the art, and the rituals, to help people understand, who are you, why are you here, and what is all of this? And it's to provide context for people to develop. That's its original origins at the beginning. But arguably today, most of media, and part of the concern is most of the media today is driven by, and the application of it is, how do we maximize our profits and how do we get you to buy things that you actually don't need? And so part of what I'd like to talk a little bit about today is kind of the role of media, and really looking at getting media back to its original roles of really towards kind of self-knowledge and understanding kind of your role in all of this. And so 5,000 years ago, your understanding of reality was dictated by where on the planet you lived and what the religious tradition was. And and if you look at all the religions, they provided a common semantic framework for people to interoperate and understand their relationship with nature, which I think the previous speaker also mentioned as well. And it basically told you kind of the cosmological function of what is reality, the societal function of how do we kind of work together, the pedagogical function of how do we get through the different stages of life, and the mystical function of how do we get to see the transcend, become aware of the transcendent mystery source from which all things arise. And that was 5,000 years ago. What happened was about 2,500 years ago with Aristotle, there was a split, and the material domain became kind of what we know of science, understanding how things happen in space and time, and objects, and how things interrelate and how things function, while this mental domain, this mental space, became kind of religion and culture, and there's been a gap between that, and so science and religion and culture are often are at odds or orthogonal in this. And so for us, we're in a design school here, but we actually do research. So I mentioned I've been in digital entertainment for 30 years, but the last 15 years, my area has focused in the area of consciousness studies, really understanding kind of the mind-body relationship and how do what is an experience as a designer when you're creating something, what is an experience? And how do my experiences shape how I think, how I feel, and how I behave? And so understanding things as physiology as hardware and phenomenology in this mental space as software, we're really looking at, can we understand a person's worldview and based upon how they respond? And so a lot of what you're seeing about Google and Facebook, just by looking at who you're talking to and what things you're seeing, they're starting to make an idea of how you think and everything. And the interesting thing is that if you look at things from the perspective of physiology as hardware, then the real world and the virtual world actually seem the same. If you look at the underlying physiological mechanisms of emotion and the importance of emotion in evoking emotion towards behavior and designing to evoke emotion, which a lot of advertising and media and everything is really all about. But ultimately, these emotions are physiological processes, and from the perspective of physiology and phenomenology, whether it's a real person or a virtual person, it uses the same underlying physiological mechanisms of the endocrine system and the autonomic nervous system. And so by understanding this mind-body relationship, we can understand more about people, where they are, and what motivates them. And so the exciting thing of today is, for the last 2,000 years, kind of science and humanities were kind of like separate areas. Now, the interesting, exciting opportunities now is with interactive media that's now possible with digital, with real-time biometrics. So I'm wearing a watch that measures my heart rate. I can measure my skin response. I can measure my autonomic nervous system activation by looking at heart rate variability. I can measure my EEG in real time. And by looking at real-time biometrics and seeing how a person responds to a stimuli that can be evoked either from a video game or with virtual reality, I can better understand a person's worldview, and I can work towards helping them develop a better understanding of who they are and their own relationship between their thoughts and beliefs and their physiological processes of related to how they breathe and everything. And the exciting thing again here related to kind of France and Hong Kong is a Western framing of reality is the material world is primary. I'm going to go, this is me, all of this is not me. I'm going to go explore, conquer, discover, and then God or someone will judge me later on, kind of which is if he even exists anymore, and this is kind of the Western framing of reality. The Eastern framing of reality, where we're at in Hong Kong, is this is me, but I'm part of this. And I can't explain who I am without explaining what this is. And the journey from the East is an inner journey. So if you look at the heroes in Asia, like meditation, yoga, getting back into our bodies, and really being aware of our breath, and really the journey is an inner journey, and the heroes are all people like the Buddha, Gandhi, all of these people that have kind of taken this inner journey. And the exciting thing now is not only is there a convergence between kind of kind of culture and science, the mental and the physical, but there's now an opportunity for combining the material world as primary with the inner world as primary, and new products and services that help us understand who we are, why we're doing what we're doing. Are we acting from fear, needs, and desires that are projected? Or where are we coming from in this? And helping people understand this through their life process, and using digital technology. And all the problems of the world today arguably are exponential, but then digital technology is also exponential, and it almost exclusively influences our thoughts and our mind. And so if we can use this exponential technology to address kind of the main causes of the problems, which are how we think and how we behave and how we've collectively programmed each other, we have a huge opportunity to really make a difference in this world for the next generations. Thank you. One more slide. Actually, can I go back one more slide? One more slide. And so just to share with you, so these are some of the projects that we're working on here on virtual reality. We're really looking at digital arts and non-fungible tokens, really looking at research in consciousness. And then we have a lot of collaborations right now as well too with Descartes University, done stuff at the Cannes Lion Festival, IRCAM. There are a lot of resources in France and here in Hong Kong and Asia, and it's really exciting to be able to open this dialogue and really explore collaboration opportunities between Hong Kong and France. Thank you.
Okay, so our next speaker will be Ms. Isabella Vorleck, who is the head of International Affairs and Innovation, Cité du Design, École Supérieure des Arts Design Saint-Étienne. And also with Ms. Sijie He, who is a design researcher from Cité du Design as well. Both of them from France. Let's welcome Ms. Isabella and Sijie.
Hello, thank you everybody for this invitation. I will present you first the Cité du Design and the school, and then Shihi will share with you a concrete example of research dealing with design for all. So next, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. So Cité du Design started in 1803 with the school, with the art school. So you could see it's a very long story from us. The particularity of Cité du Design is to include a school of art and design, but also other activities like exhibition. And maybe you have heard about the Biennale International Design, which is started in 1998, sorry, and it's the best famous exhibition around the world to show what is design and prospective design. Then in 2020, we joined the school and the Cité du Design, which is more a research and innovation center in one entity. So it's really exceptional to have on the same place the school, the exhibition, and also the research center in France especially. It's Saint-Étienne, it's a smart and small city where people is very important. And maybe it's also why all actions are human-centered and why design for all is very important and in all the projects, even in the city. Next, please. So as I said, we have 3 activities: the school, the diffusion, so with the exhibition, edition, etc., and the support for the companies and the public actors to innovate through design. Next, please. So I will start with some few information on the school. Next. Next, please. So the school, we have 2 courses, art and design, but we have also a preparatory year. So you could come in France, in Saint-Étienne, to prepare your entry in a art or design school, to learn French and also to have the regular level to go in a design school or art school. So it's something that we could offer for you. Then we have a different laboratory. Next, please. I don't want to detail too much. You could find everything after on our website, but it's important to know that the school is linked to the research, and we have special laboratory. One is on digital. The others are more focused on different topic like design des instances. It's more organization, how we could use design also to create a system and organization. And we have a special post-diploma, and CG is a part of this third cycle, this post-diploma, and she will, after me, explain you what is the topic of his study. Next. So what is important is that even in the school, we are working and transferring this design for all attitude to all the students. This is just an example in Tallinn, because we have a lot of collaboration with other university or design school, and we hope to work much better with Hong Kong after this presentation. So here in Tallinn, with the collaboration of the art school, students could work on a train station and a plane station for here, if you see, and to help people to find the right way very easily for all the people. Next, please. Diffusion. What is diffusion? Next, so I already talk about the exhibition. So we have the Biennale, which is very important, and the Biennale this year is postponed, but the topic is bifurcation, how through design we could change our direction and find a new way to live. So it's a right topic with all the situation with health and economy crisis. But we have also exhibition all over the year at the Cité de Design. Next, please. And some are really focused on design for all. We have also editions. So here you could see a book dedicated on this topic. And we make also experimentation. So it's action with people could come and try practice the design action, and one of the topic here is related to sports, how to offer sport activities to all people, to elderly people, but to all people. If you don't be very sportive, you could do some sport and some activities. So it's very definition of design for all, very large for all the culture, all the people. Next, please. The support, so this is the support to the companies. Next, please. And also to the public sectors. So it could be in-house cities for sure, to have a good example. Here you could show some example in the public space. Next, but also in the transport. It's not only the product, it's also the services, the graphic, etc. And yes, next, to be quick, it's also experimentation in the area with the people. Next, please. So, no, not start on the left, please. Thank you. And the goal is to involve the people. So as you could see here, is to work with the people, to co-create with the people at the beginning, during the project, and after the project. So it's all human-centered in all the processes. It's what we are doing in Saint-Étienne. And now I will let the floor to CG, if you could go next. So she will explain you what she's doing in Saint-Étienne on this topic with a great example. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Isabelle. Hello, everyone. My name is Sijie He. student research at École Supérieure d'Art Design Saint-Étienne at Cité du Design. I have lived in France for 7 years and graduate from École Supérieure d'Art et Design Le Havre Rouen avec with honor in a master degree in graphic design. Before this master degree, I had complete another master degree in illustration and printmaking. That's why I had exhibitions in Grand Palais and several cities in France, Germany, and China. Now I'm working in Huawei, designing the advertisements for Huawei in the entire Western Europe. And at the same time, I'm researching the story of signboards of Saint-Étienne at the city, and my research is focused on the commercial signboards of Chinese shop restaurant in France, and exploring the link in Chinese immigrant community, design and history behind the signboards. My research for my master degree it's focused on the commercial signboards of Chinese shop in Paris, and now I'm using the same methodology to research the signboard in Saint-Étienne, because Saint-Étienne is a city who is like a melting pot. The Chinese people, Islam people, a lot of different kinds of culture. So I use urban modernology. This term is created by a Japanese architect, Wajiro Kun, from 1925 to 1930. Modernology describe the emerging urban space and people's way of living in Tokyo. So I'm using the same methodology to research the Chinese community in Saint-Étienne. I believe the store as a living space is closely related to everyone's life. So I record and analyze the different designs, fonts, colors, decoration of Chinese stores in different regions to understand the regional difference in lifestyle and culture of Chinese community. I hope this study can provide a basis of design knowledge about the Chinese immigrant community in France, to let designer understand the local Chinese culture in order to improve the quality of the Chinese immigrants, making the society less racism or more respectful of each other's cultures. So in this research, I was inspired by learnings from Las Vegas, and the research of Mr. Brian Kopp, who is also a professor of Poly University. That's why I want to do this conference, because I also want to know what Hong Kong designers are doing now. At the end, I want to show my master thesis in France, especially as students of book design and graphic design. I designed my thesis and I did all the blinding text layout by myself. And besides that, we have, besides the thesis, we have also another text, like we have to make exhibitions at school. So last year in December, September to December, we finished the thesis, and then before July, we have to finish the exhibition that the object that we present in the final exam. That's all. That's my study experience and what I research. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Isabel and Sijie. I think it's very interesting to see today, especially to have the comparison between Hong Kong and France, and not really comparison, but we can see the differences of the development and the approach towards social innovation. So now I want to use my own experience and to explain another perspective, which is how we look at design, the relationship between design with technology, and also a little bit of summarize of today's theme, and also to lay out the key points we are going to discuss in the coming panel discussion. So, so first, this is really brief introduction. I'm Professor Stephen Jia Wang, and I have the background in industrial design, computer engineering, interaction design, and also architecture. So currently, I'm a professor in user experience design and design intelligence at the School of Design, Hong Kong PolyU. Before this role, I was a head of program of two innovation design programs at the Royal College of Art, which is double degree programs between RCE with Imperial College London. So one is called Innovation Design Engineering, the other one is called Global Innovation Design. So you can see the philosophy here is we discuss the relationship between the technology with design, engineering, and the other one is we take a globalized vision to talk about how globalization could impact the social innovation in different countries. Of course, we should come from the localized, globalized to localized. And at the same time, I was RCA director of Tokyo Design Lab, and also I was the founder and director of an international tangible interaction design lab as part of my approach to tackle on the challenges of design with engineering. And before that, I was had a program at Monash University, and also professor and a leader of interaction design at the Tokyo Zokai University, probably around 10 years ago. So now, when we look at these problems, we can summarize here is one is the challenges in design. Also the challenges, of course, bring us some opportunities. So I would like really briefly, try to put this very intense comments here. I will think what is the design in the era of AI? So which means the concept of design will change, and what the design will become. Is it more artistic, become to be art, or more science, become to be part of taking up part of the scientific approach, become to be more research-driven, more scientific approach, or we focus on more on the applications. So what is the direction and what will be the role of design? And what is the conceptual change in intelligent design, which is we're trying to move from AI design to design intelligence, which means who's gonna take the leading role? Are we trying to develop all the technologies, then we try to figure out the problems, or try to find applications for that? Or we come from a design approach, design thinking can show the way of AI or other data-related technologies before it become to be a challenge to the society. And also, how can design propel Hong Kong and the major cities in France in their social innovation, more localized, and how can technology drive and enhance design in these different regions, major cities in France and Hong Kong. So from this, we can see the opportunities here, which is from the industry, from design research, and also from the local context, and also from the design plus, we call design plus education, which is based on the current education and following the trend and social development to the design plus education. So the fundamental thinking is we can see the social change here in the industrial era. For example, the most iconic Philip Stark lemon juicer, Bauhaus whistling chair, Bauhaus doorknob, Olivetti typewriter, and iron chair. You know, all of this iconic design is considered to be the most successful design in the industry. But now what we're designing is the Davinci surgical robot. You can see it's heaps of change here. And the focus of the industry, the integration of technology, the way of using technology in our lives and in the society has been changed fundamentally. So which lead to the conceptual change of innovation. What do we mean by innovation? What's the implication of the innovation? What is the functionality, what we're talking about now? It's not the same as the physical supporting to our body anymore. It's become to be more informationalized and you know, to lead to the functionality to the post-information era. So this has becoming part of our lives, and health monitoring, and across all of this age span, and to link with the mobile device. There's heaps of examples. I don't want to touch too much of this, but you can see we cannot live in the context and environment without such a technology anymore. So this will lead to the question, what will be the future? And to answer these questions, and since 2013, we have established the International Tangible Interaction Design Lab, which is the institution collaboration between Monash University in Australia, Tsinghua in China, and the Tokyo University in Japan. So we try to integrate the latest technology with the existing design method, and to develop the useful applications. Then after I came to Hong Kong, it's really great to see Hong Kong has been tackled on this issue, which is the integration of technology with design from many different angles. So of course, you can see Hong Kong exporting in 2018 was reached 618 billion, which is increased around 18% compared to the year before, to 2017. And within this, 14.9% was about cultural and creative industry. So design actually is playing a very important role in Hong Kong, and especially interactive media goods and audiovisual contribute to more than 70% within this 15%. So in the Hong Kong strategy, we can see it's including corporates, government, and community. That's the beauty I can see. It's an integration of these three dynamic forces together, to work together to develop the design approach. So corporates such as the K11 Mu-C area, and you can see it's a corporate-led approach, and which is organizing various events and famous installation. You can see the swimming pool is called Davinci's Ear, and very, very interesting stuff there. A community, for example, the Cultural Design Center in Fortan, and there's various this kind of handcraft traditional called design, but most likely design culture enhanced facilities there to enrich the local context. And also the government, the most iconic is the Hong Kong Design Center, organized the Design Week every year, which has been really successful. Every year we will gather more than 2,000 people to discuss the latest topics, the trend of design. So now, in terms of educational design trend, and we can see the keywords in 2020, last year. And I just want to lay out here to let you understand, can feel the trend here has been changing, including well-being, balance, harmony, courage, empathy, shifting environments, originality, ingenuity, visionary thinking, new beginnings, and something like serenity, security, integrating the eye, sparking imagination. Various very exciting trend. You can clearly see the scope of this design is jump out of the traditional design, is becoming to be more conceptualized and dynamically integrating the latest technologies together. And as Hong Kong has a very special position, which is a special administrative region, which is part of the GBA. And in GBA, we have many major manufacturers, and all of this can work with the design industry in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong actually can play a very important role in the field of design and cultural innovation. So to conclude, Hong Kong is developing into a regional design center, and we all see design is playing an important role as a source of innovative content, a key driving force of enhancing economic value of products and business competitiveness. And customer choosing products and services, systems and experiences that address the core needs and the market trends and change has been shifted from offline to online, from factory made to Asian made, from shopping mall to designers marketplace, standard customer to personalized customer, and the experience to personalized customer experience. And you can see all of this change cannot live without data, without AI, and from the latest industry technologies, and you can see such as Google Van, which is innovated by School of Design alumni, has been using the data technology to create this fantastic business here. Okay, so this is the key topics I think we are going to integrate and talk and discuss in the panel discussion, and with expertise of all of these speakers together. Okay. Okay, welcome back. Welcome to the panel discussion here. So we have all the speakers online, and Gino and Edmond here. And the first question I think we want to bring in from the audience, which is from Mark Patrichert for Gino Yu. It's a great talk. Thank you, Gino. And you mentioned that non-fungible tokens. At the moment, art available at NFTs is primarily created by tech-savvy artists with tech-savvy investors in mind. Will NFT art market become more mainstream? And also, beyond the current hype, I wonder what your thoughts about market for NFT art in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, it's an exciting area right now, not only for art and looking at NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And non-fungible tokens, for those that you don't know, it's using kind of blockchain technology to kind of validate something, and it's, you know, it can attach. And so not only in the art space, but if you look at finance entirely, and if you look at the whole global economy, we're kind of in this crazy era right now where, you know, stock values keep going up, and there is no kind of solid thing. If you look at what COVID has done with us, you know, this whole kind of conceptual belief idea and reality seem to be kind of detached, which if you look at the art world, it's been kind of that way too. And all of this, art, I think if you look at it, and if you look at the role of art, you know, previously, if you look at my talk, I talked about how digital technology has taken us away from the roots of what art is really about, of helping us understand who are we, why are we here, and what is this. And if you look at what's happening with non-fungible tokens and everything, it's really kind of changing how things are. And there's an opportunity for us to potentially get back to even the notion of money and the notion of meaning in relation to art. And so if we talk about what really is art and the role of art in society, arguably it's to help us to communicate inner experience. You know, what is it that makes art valuable? Why is like the Beatles collection, for example, more valuable than, you know, someone playing, you know, on the streets? And it's because if I say Let It Be or Back in the USSR or Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, I just have to mention those, and that means something to a lot of people. And so that piece that people that has made a cultural impact can influence a lot of people internally. Whereas, you know, some amazing art musician, you know, that's a street musician, nobody knows about it, and so its value isn't there. And previously, it's really the value is, and so art provides a common semantic reference for a collection of people for communicating inner experience, and it has a role in society in that way, just as science has a role for communicating the objective world. Now with new technologies, and with each new technologies, there's an opportunity and there's a potential to create something new. And if you look at technology today, if you look at the internet today, you know, when it started, it was open, and a lot of people, there are tons of websites. Now, unfortunately, arguably very quickly, you know, it's now controlled by a handful of companies today. And so what I'm trying to get at on the non-fungible tokens is we have a new opportunity here right now, and it uses something that democratizes everything, so it's global and it's decentralized, and there's a huge opportunity for us to create something with it, and it is what we create of it. Yeah. And so it's a definition of individual, and allows us to create an opportunity for collective. But right now, it's like the Cambrian explosion for it.
Yep. Thank you, Gino. It's NFT is really interesting question. I think before we go to other speakers, I just want to say I think in this case we need to separate because NFT mainly now is art, right? So the two values here. One is the value of the art, and the other value is non-fungibility. It's why it's become interesting, because it gives a unique identity to every single piece of art, and even as a little machine learning created icon there.
No, it's worse than that. It's looking at what is art, right? And so even, for example, what's his name, the Twitter guy, his first tweet, the first tweet created a non-fungible token, and that became worth $2 million or something like that. Just that tweet.
So which means it's one part of the value is art value, and the other part is the value of non-tangibility. So anything is non-tangible, is non-fungible, is a single with a single identity. It's become to be can get the price of that. So my question here is that in that case, how can we define, you know, the price of that? You know, it's of course it seems like a global auction. You know, people rush in to give a price of that. So audience, do you other speakers, do you have any comments regarding to NFTs? How do you think about the non-fungibility and the price issue here?
I mean, two reflection about it. One is about what means art. I mean, I do feel that the question has been asked for years, for centuries, and from the beginning of the of humankind. I mean, what is art? This is not a new question, really. And when you consider the 20th century, the suprematist of the abstract, and the question was on the table always. And what about your question? What is the how much it costs? In fact, if you have the answer, you'll be rich. Definitely, we don't have the question of that. What does that mean to put a spot of painting in the early 80s on a canvas or whatever to as Larry Poon did, and the frame of the canvas cost now I mean $1 or $2 million. So I mean it's always the same problem, and but I share the probably artificial intelligence and digital art will open some new frontiers to artists, clearly. But I think what the meaning of art and what is the price of art and what does that mean in terms of economy? I mean, the question is not very it's not very new. We I mean, during the centuries we had exactly the same question for art. So nothing new in that. The thing is, and it's the relationship with humankind. If you consider that robots may be able to paint or to paint us, I mean the big artist, the most famous artist. What does that mean? What does that mean to be an artist? And clearly the relationship with humankind and is clearly on the table. And you know that we have some robots who are able to compose some symphony at the moment. And what does that mean in terms of art? And this is a real question.
Yeah, it's great. So this leads to we come back to the theme of this panel discussion. Various of data-related technologies, such as blockchain technologies, has impacted our society so much, such as NFTs, will create heaps of opportunities. So how do you see this opportunity going to impact our approach in social innovation? Edmund?
Well, to me, I think there are many technologies around. First of all, you know, for the designers or for the artists, not all of them are versatile about, you know, in reality, you know, blockchain technology, you know, these kind of things. How to turn them to be resourceful artists, designers, or creators is the first direction. That we need them to be more people to be aware of the power of technology. And then the second question of design is, what problems are you trying to address or attempt? And then you deploy, you know, the technology, you know, to solve it. So I guess is the kind of like push and pull. You know, you can push a lot of, you know, interesting, you know, really amazing, you know, technology out there, but not many people, you know, can fully appreciate. But at the same time, you know, you don't need rocket science, you know, most of the time, you know, to solve problems. I think it's a balance of play.
Yeah. It's absolutely right. I totally agree. So that's what I see the problem is. You see, every time we have a new technology comes out, like NFTs, you know, it's a very interesting question, NFTs. Now, designers or society has to figure out how can we digest such technologies? What does this mean to the society? And maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not a bad thing, you know, but for a certain period, it's become a kind of challenge that we have to digest. So, so do you think this will be an ideal approach? And how do you see designers' role in this?
I actually would see this as a fundamental shift in the way that we perceive ownership. You know, for quite a while now, we've been moving away from kind of Western collection of goods, collection of pieces that represent us in terms of our identities. And I would suggest there's been a movement for quite a few years actually to understanding the value of experience and the value of things that are more intangible of nature.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I would say this is just a continuation.
Right.
I mean, I personally, I would actually separate out the perception of value from blockchain technology.
Exactly.
You know, the fact that the NFT and the NFT and the art, well, you know, what is value? You know, we're talking about Veblen goods. So something has a value to our consciousness because we've attached a social value to it. If people are in agreement, then alas, as we are sheep, as humans, we all follow the herd who says something of value. But it's very much a moment in time. And it's interesting if you look back into history and you find more than likely objects that were perceived to be of low value at that point in time. When you come back around to 20 or 30 years later, those objects now have, in some cases, extreme value. Again, the object itself didn't change, but our perception of value changed. And so for me, it's two distinct. It's actually two distinct things.
Yeah, I think it's in terms of innovation process. We always normally have a two approach, and one, as you mentioned, is from the problem, and the other way is from the possibilities, as sometimes from the technologies. Not all the time, but sometimes from technologies. And I remember there was event in 2018. The Dajiang chairman of Dajiang, Professor Zhe Xianli, and he mentioned we technicians always intend to create this kind of innovation based on the possibility from technologies. But what actually we should do is better way is to from the scenarios. So from designers, and we I feel traditionally we are used to. I don't know, but I think personally I'm used to design things based on the scenarios, based on the problems, based on the users, and based on the needs. But more and more, I feel the possibilities actually is kind of winning the game. It's maybe just my illusion. What do you feel? Whether it's all the time the technology is leading the innovation, and how design can cope with this. Mr. Gullering, do you want to
Maybe get a female
Yeah,
females.
not quite sure to understand exactly what you say, but I will try and answer. You know, there is a conflict, but it's not new. There is a conflict between science and technology and conscience and sense of things. I mean, this is not new. There is a French philosopher called François Rabelais. He said, "Science without conscience is ruins of the souls." So it's not new, and definitely. But I do feel that, and this is probably that was Grant was saying. I mean, and we are passing from an era of product to another era of services. And the next step is services to experience. And it's a big shift. It's a big shift. We need sense. And we are passing from an era of consumption to an era of contribution. We have to act, and we have, in a way, to save the planet. You know, I mean, it's very schematic to say that, but it's clearly the thing. We have to say. So we are more and more responsible in terms of how we're going to save the planet. And there is a huge emergence of ecological consciousness among us. So probably the society and probably the companies will have to shift. I mean, if they want to satisfy the needs of the population, if they want clearly to sell the products or to sell the services. Definitely. So, and in terms of artificial, and I'm sorry to repeat myself, but this is my subject at the moment, you know, the thing is probably with the development of robots and with the development of artificial intelligence, so augmented robots, the thing will be clearly to redefine what is humanism. What does that mean to be human? What does that mean to be human? And probably we are at the beginning of the emergence of a new civilization. Really, I do feel that. I mean, and if really we let the robots, we let the datas, we let the artificial intelligence, we let them lead our life, and clearly it is the line. It is clear for me. We accept to be photographs in the street, to be recognized in the street all the time. We accept to leave our data to Facebook, to whatever the company, and I don't blame Facebook, because I know exactly the challenge, and I accept that. So, but we accept to be guided, leaded, and to give all our data to anybody in the world. That means that we have to be to redefine what does that mean exactly to be human. It's the same case in arts, in fact. What does that mean to be an artist? What does that mean to be an artist? If we let the robots compose some symphony, what does that mean to be a composer, a human composer? Because no doubt that the robots will be capable to do very great symphonies. Definitely, yep. No doubt about that.
Yes.
You know, the embodiment of intelligence in Europe, the embodiment of intelligence 40 years ago, it was the world champion of chess. It was the embodiment of intelligence. Yep. Now the world champion of chess, he will never challenge any machine. Because he or she will lose.
Yeah. Sorry, for the time reason, before we go, can we have a comment from Isabel, please?
Yeah, so we are not very focused on artificial intelligence, but more on digitalization. And I agree with Christian Guérin when he said that the important challenge is to save the planet, is the climate change. And I believe really that the connection between art, design, and technology is a great opportunity to find a solution for that. For example, we have started a program with a German school and an Estonian school on digitalization, and the topic is to create digital tools for creative cooperation. So it's not the technology which is pushing the program, it's more the hearts and design people who are using the technology, but it's something that we have to do together. And it's really important to link these two sides, and the challenge is for sure human and the planet.
Great, thank you very much. In terms of social innovation and musicians, artists, designers, technology, we all playing different roles. And when technology comes in, when there's a social needs, I think the approach need to be carefully tailored. And how can we develop this comprehensive approach to support social innovation, which is a challenge in front of us. I would like to have more time to discuss about this, however, and we need to move on to the next session. Here, I want to thank you all for all of your support, and thank you very much for our speakers and the guests from France. Thank you very much.